Welcome to Fool's Key Tarot. I'm Ben, and this is a daily reading for Sunday, June 22nd, 2025. Let's see what the cards have in store for us. I'm going to draw 3 cards, one for the past, one for the present, and one for the future. So beginning with the past, we have the 9 of Swords in reverse. Let's make some room for that card there. Now for the present, we have the Empress reversed, one of the major arcana, number 3. And then finally, the future, the Fool reversed. Okay, so 2 major arcana showing up in this reading, so that's significant. And then we have a Swords card in the past to get us started. So let's begin with the past and move forward chronologically. So the 9 of Swords in the past, to me, is indicating that you were blissfully unaware of something that you would have worried about if you'd known about it. And maybe now in the present, when you look back, you feel like you should have had that on your mind, or you should have been worrying about it, or maybe there's even something you could have done to help, but you either were unaware entirely or it just wasn't on your mind. It could have been something that you just didn't notice or didn't think about. It didn't occur to you or enter into your thinking. And that could be because of your own choice to ignore it. Maybe not a conscious choice, but maybe you had the information and just didn't act the way that you now feel like you should have. It's also possible that you were just ignorant. You just didn't know that this situation was going on, and so therefore it didn't occupy your mind. But now that you found out about it, you realize it's something that would have consumed your thoughts had you known about it. So maybe it's a mercy that you didn't know about it, but I don't think that's your experience of it. I think that you feel regret over not doing something more about the situation, or just about not worrying about it. And you know that worrying about it wouldn't have helped, but if something really important was going on, especially with somebody that you care about a lot, the 9 of Swords tends to indicate worry over somebody that you have a lot of strong feelings towards, usually positive. So it could be like a family member or a loved one who may have been in a difficult situation or even in danger. And if you found out later that they went through this and that you didn't even know about it, you might have regret over just not having the empathy or the sympathy that you should have had. Even if you recognize that it wouldn't have done anything, you might feel like, if I had known, I would have tried to do something. And in reality, maybe there's nothing that you could have done. But we often worry about things and expend mental energy towards things that we can't actually affect in the moment. And so it looks like in the past, there is a situation that you didn't put enough energy or time into in terms of worrying about, thinking about, or possibly affecting. Because with the 9 of Swords upright, we usually have a situation that you are worried about but can't really do anything about. And so the reversal, which suggests some kind of twist or difference or variant of the upright card, maybe that suggests that you could have acted. You could have actually done something, but you didn't, because you either didn't know or because you just overlooked it at the time. And I think that you feel guilt over not acting or not thinking or putting more time or effort into this. But if you just didn't know about it at all, then you couldn't have. And so that guilt might be misplaced. And if you did know about it, but just overlooked it, then that guilt might be somewhat more appropriate in the sense that you do bear some responsibility for that decision, but it still isn't a good idea to beat yourself up over past mistakes. You want to learn the lessons that you can learn and then move on without being ridden by guilt or regret. So let's see how that plays into the present. Now, the Empress reversed suggests a lack of growth, a lack of progress, a lack of abundance, maybe even writer's block. And so I think that what might have happened is when you learned about the thing that you overlooked or ignored or didn't know about, it's causing your present state to feel dried up or not full of sensation or fruitfulness. So maybe things were going well, and then you found out that somebody that you knew or cared about was in danger or experiencing something difficult, and the situation's over. It's too late. You can't go back and worry or go back and do anything. But now that you found out about this thing that was going on that you either overlooked or didn't know about, it saps the joy out of life for you, at least momentarily. You aren't enjoying the things that you have. It's maybe difficult to take pleasure in things that are usually pleasureful. It could be food or just enjoying a walk in nature, and instead of soaking in the beautiful surroundings, you find yourself returning to this past situation that you regret how you acted during. So somehow, when you found out the truth behind the past situation, that is robbing you of your ability to enjoy in the present the good things that are in your life. Now, these good things might also be absent. That might be a consequence of what happened um, with the past and the situation that you either overlooked or didn't know about. So maybe when you weren't aware of what was happening, something bad may have happened to somebody that you care about, and so that could have resulted in these good things in your present life actually being gone, or it could be that they're still present and you just can't enjoy them anymore. So I think there's definitely something in your present that is lacking, and whether that's the actual stuff that is important to you, um, or just your ability to enjoy or appreciate those things, I'm not sure. It could go either way, but it's definitely a consequence of this past situation and of learning the truth behind the past situation. Because I think there was definitely something that you looked past while it happened, and now you are finding out about that truth. Um, yeah, the Empress can indicate knowledge and progress, and so I think with her reversal, it's indicating that you are learning the truth of what happened, and those consequences are catching up to you, and that is resulting in something being robbed from you, either those tangible resources, um, or a tangible relationship. If it means that your relationship to somebody is severed, that may have been a consequence of the situation that you overlooked, and of course that is going to not only result in you not being able to enjoy things as much if you find the lack of this person in your life to be disturbing and upsetting. It can rob you of the ability to enjoy things, but it also might mean that the things themselves are gone. If that person that you have been separated from was one of the things that you enjoyed in life, then if they're absent, then obviously you're not going to be able to enjoy them. So it might mean both, and it might be that certain things are removed from your life that were pleasurable before, and also that the things that remain that are still good or satisfying or should be satisfying no longer are as satisfying or comfortable as they used to be or as they should be. So I think in the present moment, you are finding yourself with a lack of of things to feel good about. And whether or not it's because they're gone from your life entirely, or if they're still there and you just don't feel the same way about them, or maybe a little bit of both. It could be any of the above. But definitely there's going to be a through line between this past situation. Um, it either is affecting the way that you feel about things in your life right now, or it's actually the reason why some things are gone. Upright, the Empress can represent abundance and plenty, and so reversed, it can represent a scarcity. And I think right now there's a scarcity of something important in your life, and it's related to this past situation. So where is this all going to head? So to the Fool reversed in the future, this can indicate being naive, being tricked, being taken advantage of, because the Fool is very trusting and very open to new experiences. And part of that is because they don't have very many experiences of their own, or at least they're not tied down by those experiences. So when it's reversed, that can get taken to an extreme where it's easy to be taken advantage of because you're so trusting, or it's easy to make mistakes because of a lack of experience, or a lack of relying on those experiences, or using the lessons learned from those past experiences. And it can be useful to ignore your past experience, because if you're too concerned with what has already happened in your life or what you are expecting, then you might fail to see something new and something important. So there's a positive sense of ignoring your past experiences, which the Fool upright represents. But in that reverse position, it seems like it might be taking that idea too far. So now another possibility of the reversed Fool is to be weighed down by those experiences rather than freed from them. And so interesting here, we have a lack of resources, a lack of usually something physical with the Empress, as opposed to an emotional dearth. And it could represent that as well. but usually there's going to be something physical that is missing with the Empress because she's a very physical card. Um, so that could lead to a strange kind of freedom with the Fool, where these things are taken away from you, and even though you wish that you still had them, that does grant you a certain freedom. You can start over. You can go down a new path now, and you're not weighed down by these things. Now, you want to be weighed down by these things because they were good. It's fine to be weighed down by stuff if that stuff is good. Maybe you worked hard for it. Maybe it's carefully selected to fit into your life. And so having them be gone might not be a good thing. Even if that can result in freedom, you might not want that freedom because you liked to be tied down by those things, especially if this is a separation from somebody that you care a lot about. That can be a freedom that is unpleasant because you didn't want the freedom. You gave it up willingly in order to appreciate the good things of the Empress or to appreciate the relationship with the person you cared about with the Nine of Swords. But these things are altered or just missing. And so I think where you're headed in the future is towards a sense of freedom that you're not going to entirely be comfortable with, because the reason for the freedom are these losses that you've experienced in the past and in the present. And so you're not going to want to take advantage of that freedom because it's coming from what feels like bad things. But just because the freedom is coming about due to an unfortunate situation doesn't mean that the freedom can't be taken advantage of and used to produce something new in your life that is good. Just because something comes from a bad source doesn't mean the thing it's going to produce is also going to be bad. So I think what the cards are trying to tell you here is that despite your present state of no longer being tethered to things that you appreciated and liked and used to be dependable, the newfound freedom that's going to result from that, take advantage of it. You might not like it, you might not have asked for it or wanted it, but you can absolutely still embrace it and try to find something new to replace what has been taken from you. And that isn't going to be a comfortable process. The Fool reversed indicates that there's going to be difficulties, that you might take the wrong step at first. You might risk losing even more along the way. But the mindset of the Fool is going to be necessary to rebuild the things that you want to have around you. And that's going to necessitate some risk because the Fool is an inherently risky card. But the one thing the cards really want you to take away from this is that do not focus on why you have this freedom or this unattachment in the future. If you focus too much on that, you're going to feel resentful over why you're detached, and it's going to cause you to be unable to take full advantage of this new situation you're going to be in. So you're going to be thrust into a new situation that you don't really want to be in because these somewhat negative experiences from the past and present are going to lead you there. But you got to try to take full advantage of that situation anyways, even though you don't like the reason that you are there. And the Fool being the number 0, it's a cyclic card. It's the beginning and the end of the major arcana. It's both the initial state of the person who goes on the journey through the major arcana, and it's also the final state. So there's a sense of rhythm and of returning to where you started with the Fool. So I think there is a really hopeful message here where whatever it is that you've lost and whatever regrets you have, I think that in the end, you can recover those things. They'll be changed, they'll be different. You'll be different too, but they're not gone forever. They're just gonna have to come back in a different form. And that might take a long time to get there. But there's definitely a chance of recovery and of regaining what it is that has been lost. But the only way to do that is to embrace your newfound freedom and to accept the fact that it might take some time and that the only way out is through. So you might feel a desire to retreat and to try to just backpedal and go back to where things were. And the cards are sending a clear message today that you've got to move forward. As scary as that is, and as much as you might wish that you weren't forced to do that, ultimately all of life is about change and about having to make do with the situation that we are put in. And right now, your situation might not be the most comfortable or the happiest, but there's definitely the chance for better things ahead as long as you embrace the chaos and embrace the freedom that you're going to experience soon in the future, even if it might feel scary. It is scary, but it can also be good. at the same time that it's scary. And embracing those contradictions is something that the cards are encouraging you to do. So if you enjoyed this reading, then subscribe to see more. And if you'd like to learn about tarot cards or try some of my online guided reading's, then head on over to foolskey.com where you can check that out. Thanks for watching and see you tomorrow.